I'd like to call the meeting of the Harwich Cemetery Commission to order
whole
at
package.
9:07. We don't have any minutes ready yet.
No, because I didn't have time to put them in the packet, because this week, but I will get with Cindy and you, and we will start doing the packet I can start doing the packet tomorrow or the next day, and we will put in all of the minutes that we want to approve, so that we have them for the next meeting.
Okay, we should probably
Okay.
set up a time where we could just, like you and I could sit down and go over an addendum, and we'll put the agenda and stuff
Sure.
beforehand. We got correspondences from Town Hall Association and AmeriCorp.
Yep, so we went into the swearing in of the new AmeriCorps of Cape Cod, and our new member's name is Dory, and she reminds me so much of Hannah. She is very outgoing, and I think she's going to be a great fit for us. Unfortunately, they only had 11 members for the entire Cape Cod, and last year they had 30. They normally have about 30. So we only get her 1 day a week, and we share her with Amy. Amy gets her 1 day a week, and 1 day a week she goes to Care for Cape Cod, which is a non-for-profit. So I don't know whether we're getting her Tuesdays or Thursdays, but I believe it's going to be Thursdays. We're waiting to hear back from Amy which day is better for her. Really enjoyed her, and can't wait till she starts. They, I think, begin their service year is next week, is their first week. So I'll have to see which day I get her next week, and I will give you guys an update.
You have projects for her, is she gonna help out in the office with you a little bit, or
She only can help on anything that has to do with
the outdoors?
the Arboretum.
Any other business? Other new business or other business? Okay, old business, up to date on the revolving account and cemetery budget.
Okay, so we haven't really paid many bills so far this year as far as the cemetery budget, so it's pretty much intact. The revolving account, I have enclosed a sheet with all the totals. I've been selling a lot of lot sales, so we had $26,415 into the lot sale account, $2,935 into the perpetual care account. We had $3,400 into the administration, and in monument markouts we had $900. So the total going into the revolving account, because the perpetual care is separate, is $30,715 since September 1st. So we are in excellent shape in our revolving account, which is good going into all the expenditures we will be having for the.
Is that where the money for the fence for Bank Street comes from?
Yes, yep. So all of our expenditures, so any of the fences, we're gonna have them repair the Pine Grove fence, the Mount Pleasant fence, and then the installation of the Bank Street fence, but that's next, so we'll talk about those as they come.
Any other discussion on the budgets? Okay, the Bank Street Cemetery.
Okay. So, yesterday I was able to get a hold of Ralph from All Cape Fence, and he had to give us an updated quote on the fence because the quote he gave us originally was too old, and they only last for so long. And so we have an updated total for the fence of $4,680, and that is to enclose everything except for leave a gap at the entrance of the lawnmowers would get through. Before this takes place, though, we're either gonna have to have the tree company go in or see if, and I think we are gonna have to have the tree company go in because the houses are so close there that I'm afraid if they drop any of those trees, there could be damage to the abutting property. So.
What about the shrubs from that guy's property?
We still haven't got any letter from administration yet, but even, the fence could go in even if those don't come, because they're not gonna be affected by the fence or the trees coming down. So I think we should move and at least do that part, and then we can that part of the shrubs that are on the street side will still have to be removed, but at least it'll give the abutter a clear delineation of where their lot line is once the fence goes in as well.
It's going all the way to the back property line.
It's going to the back property line, and there are already bounds in the back, so there's bounds, cement bounds in the ground on both the back corners. And there's one, I believe, on Mrs. Hoare's property, which is to the left, and then,
Going right off that guy's driveway.
and then that guy's driveway was spray painted on the ground. We might have to have Paul Sweet to come out one more time and repaint that.
What's the letter we're waiting on from?
So, apparently, the letter usually comes from a town surveyor or engineer, which we haven't had one in the town for a long time. And I asked the administration to write the letter. So, it needs to come from somebody from the town who knows the boundary lines. We are just the cemetery, commission. So technically, I think it has to come from somebody from there.
Okay, we should find out, and maybe we can come up with a letter or something like that, and they just have to approve it and sign it or whatever.
Okay,
If they're being held up on the actual letter writing.
okay.
So who have you discussed this with?
I guess we're gonna have to discuss it with Joe, the town administrator, because the letter has to come from somebody. And normally, when we had abutters on our property, I always had Paul Sweetser write it, who was our surveyor. And he'd say, I'd survey the property, and you're encroaching on the property lines.
Right, okay.
So it has to come from somebody who said they surveyed it and they're over on our,
No, it's my bad. I thought we had already done that with the property owner to the right, to the south.
we never did it. We were waiting for somebody to get hired so that they could do it, but, I will talk to Joe to see if they can make that a
Because
priority.
we still have the plot plan, right?
We still have the plot plan, yes. So Paul did make it for us, which shows, and, oh God, I don't even, the person that used to be here that's now in Brewster, I can't think of his name. He was originally gonna write the letter, and he left, and he never did, so. I'll talk to Joe, we'll see if we can get this ball rolling.
Okay. Do we need to make a motion on the fence and,
Yeah, because it's a different total now, so someone
How
would,
much did it change, roughly?
$400.
it's not terrible.
But I think there needs to be two motions. One motion is gonna be to get the tree company in there to remove the trees. And then the second motion is for the installation, because we can't install the fence until the trees are removed. So, I mean, it's gotta be a two-part.
The tree's gonna happen.
It's $1,700 for them, the tree company, to go in. That's for a whole day, but if we had them for a whole day, they could probably do, half a day there and whatever, we could use them in some of the cemeteries, limbing up some branches or something.
That's fine.
And Jim and the guys, they can do the shrubs later. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, anybody could do,
Pretty substantial
yeah.
use.
yeah. But if they're just cutting them, then we could ask the lot owners if they wanna remove them, they're theirs, and they might wanna move them to somewhere else on their property. I don't think they will, but,
I don't think they transplant that well.
no, okay.
They'll never get the roots out.
So is
Do I
somebody,
hear a motion for the fence and also having the tree company come in? Two separate motions.
Yeah, so I move that we accept the 4680 updated estimate for the fence for this property.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now we get a motion for the,
Yeah, and I'll make a motion that we hire the tree company as Robin recommended to, priority is to take the trees down in Bank Street, and then any time left over on the contract, go as needed to
other,
cemetery that needs
Okay.
tree work. And $1,700.
okay.
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now, could they, if they had time, could we send them over that Smith Street Cemetery?
Oh, yeah, we could,
Or this, it's a Smith Cemetery, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
Got that right.
yeah, we could,
Because there was a couple in there we wanted out.
correct, yeah.
And then we could have somebody put a little fence into that.
We could also check with, because that's such a small area, we could either see if me, Amy, and our AmeriCorps member could do it, or before, I think the Boy Scouts asked, they were gonna try to do, somebody was doing one of their projects, and they asked if they could be involved in some of our smaller projects, so we could reach out to them as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, that would be great.
Cindy, do you still have contact? You don't have contact with them, or did John?
John does, yeah.
Oh, maybe we can see if we can get a contact.
It's, yeah, I'll let you know the kid's name, I can't. He's an adult now, not a kid anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the update on the other fence repairs? Is he gonna take care of the Pine Grove?
Yeah, so he's not doing a Pine Grove, that's coming from a different, because he doesn't do chain link fence. I did put a phone call into them yesterday, and the guy still hasn't gotten the estimate. So as soon as he gets the estimate, I'd bring it back so that you guys could review the amounts. So that's a different company that does chain link.
Are there other fences in the other cemeteries other than North Harwich that we need them to look at? Is that the only chain link fence that needs?
That's the only one,
Only chain link?
yeah.
It's gonna close in that corner so they can't waltz through?
Yes.
Nice. Okay, now we got Veterans Memorial Circle.
Yes, so Paul Sweetser was kind enough to a weekend for me. He gave us two different renderings, so if you look, you should have 3 drawings in your packet. So one of them is the smaller inner circle, which is just 30 feet, and the other one is the regular circle, which leaves 75, it's the whole 75 feet circle, but 10 feet would be grass. And then the inner ring would be, the 2 rings would be pavers, so that the benches could go on the pavers.
Mhm. That's what I thought the whole thing was.
Yeah,
gonna
originally,
do.
that's what he said too, that originally was supposed to be this.
Have the benches and the nice brick patio, and then have the first ring with the, then that first ring will have that'll have all the other flags in it.
Right, and then the second ring would just be where the lighting fixtures would go, and then the inner part would be the oath,
Yeah.
which he shows it here brick, but it's not, the center ring, and then the American flag in the middle.
I like that bigger one.
What are the rectangles on the outside?
Those are the benches.
Those are the benches.
Yep.
Here's the enlisted oath, by the way, so it's actually kind of long.
So it can go around and around,
Yeah,
so you would walk.
to come up with a design for that.
Right,
Maybe we can talk
Or you
Tom
can,
would know how to best do that.
or you can paraphrase, I would think, you know,
dot, dot, dot.
the start, I do solemnly swear. You know, you could just do the first sentence or something,
Mhm.
and that way it would almost cover both the enlisted and officers. I mean, it's just a thought,
Yeah.
because if, you know, if money becomes an issue, it's
Right.
engraving this entire.
I'm gonna reach out to some of the veterans agencies, though, to see if they can help. So that's my next, now that the CPC articles are finished and I get to breathe.
And I still say we need to get some social media involvement, because that will spread to many organizations or.
Definitely.
So, did you guys want to make a motion on which one you prefer? Or which one you want me to go out to bid for?
All right, should we number them so we know what,
Well, wait a minute, what are we numbering here?
we got 3 different pictures.
So one is the entire rendering, what Paul and me originally talked about, with the Walk of Remembrance to the left, okay?
We only have like 2 pictures because both of these are the same thing.
Yeah, and then these 2 pictures are not the same.
Yeah.
So then, this is the one that we originally discussed. This is kind of a smaller version of it.
Yeah, I don't like the smaller.
Wait a minute, hang on. What is around the benches on this one?
Nothing. Sitting in
Nothing.
Grass?
Yeah.
Grass.
No.
Okay. So that one would be out.
Well, all right, so I'm just gonna throw this out. We really need a merger of these two pictures, because on this picture,
Yeah, the smaller
the
one.
center of granite is, I thought, what we had wanted in discussions out at the cemetery.
Oh, it is. So it is.
So really, so we need to, I think we should go with this one, that's just my opinion.
Yep.
Except change the inner circle.
And Cindy already marked on hers too.
Did you? So this inner circle
Should be the granite.
should be granite with oath possibly, if that works out.
We could have Tom Luke show up to a meeting and we can discuss that center part.
Yeah, the way to do it. I mean, it may just be easier just to have a raised circular, something that looks like a millstone, but smooth, and have it.
Right.
Versus a bevel on the side.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good place to cut corners, cut price if we have to, let's get some expertise.
Okay.
But I think for the mowing and the care and
I think
people sitting,
Yeah,
I really think we need to, I
right.
like brick all the way to the
To the
benches.
bench.
benches.
Okay.
Then they're on sound footing.
Brick underneath the benches as well.
Yeah, just
Right,
like
yeah.
this picture
The
here,
original-
except the center circle is granite.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, do we need a motion?
We accept this version.
So
as
should we
discussed.
say that shall we say this is version 1 and this is version 2?
Sure.
1 and 2.
So I move that we accept version 1.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Or say anybody in favor of version 2. No? No? Secret ballot?
Secret ballot? Yeah.
Secret ballot.
Version 1 with the center,
Modified center circle,
To granite.
yeah.
and
And I just think that'll look
seconded,
nice.
yeah, who seconded it?
I did.
Rob. Steve.
And everybody in favor?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Before we move away from this, just some stuff that we discussed on our tour.
Yeah.
Okay, we were over there with Jim that day. From that discussion, we were talking about the Merchant Marine Service, or whatever they're designated. A lot of them on Cape Cod. And when Tommy Blue had said that other towns are incorporating them in veterans memorials, Robin discussed with Shawnee that they are not veterans, which is a true statement, but they have received veterans benefits for service, such as in World War II, because so many were lost. And then I had also brought up about, doing the Gold Star Memorial and how were we gonna do that, and I just think it would be nearly impossible to get names included. That thing could be as big as the Vietnam Memorial, be huge in DC. But, and I'm just throwing this out here for further thought, on the opposite side of the walkway, near the timelines when they occurred, might be the location, a good location for a stone-like monument with a bronze plaque or something. So on this picture here, the Gold Star families were founded in 1928,
Okay.
right after World War I. So if you had, so in the future, when we have the World War I monument, followed by the World War II monument, then over here, right after World War I, we could put, on the opposite side of the walkway, a Gold Star memorial. And at the same time, right after World War II, which was not the first, but the biggest sacrifice that the Merchant Marine made to this country, we could do a similar type recognition
Okay.
with an appropriate quote, a plaque,
Okay.
either the symbol of the Merchant Marine or a sailor on a ship or something. I mean, because they actually served long before that. They did some work in the Revolutionary War, technically. So, but I think that way we could acknowledge them. It's not distinctly part of the Veterans Memorial, but
Right.
we're acknowledging their contribution,
Yeah.
Okay.
service and sacrifice. I don't know, just something to think about when we get to that
Yeah.
stage in the walkway.
Okay. That sounds like a good idea. And how soon can that bid go out?
I
It's not
can,
gonna be ready this year, is it?
it won't be ready for, so the Veterans Day ceremony will be at Island Pond again this year. Because I want it to be perfect when we do have the ceremony there, so it will be there for next year.
Okay, now is Island Pond the only other Veterans Memorial we have?
Yes,
And there's no lights on that flag?
that is correct. There's no lights on that flag. I just,
Do they take the flag down every night?
no, Jim just told me this the other day. He said there's no lights on any of the flags. So we have to figure out how we're gonna get lights to the other flags.
No, there's no power back in there, is there?
There is no power, there's only power to the lily pond. There's no power all the way back to there. We could try to see if we could get
Solar?
a solar one. People have solar lights in there now, which I don't approve of, but they do,
I think it would be okay for the American flag especially,
yeah.
to have some sort of a light on it.
So you want me to look at,
And check into getting, what's the best way to light it, if it's solar's the best way, or if there's some way to pull a wire from the lily pond up? You just gotta cross,
Depends where it is in the lily pond.
it's in the holding crypt,
The boxes?
yeah,
oh, so they just gotta come straight up that road?
yeah.
Yeah, but it's straight up the road.
Well, I understand that, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's not a straight shot.
so we'll have to look at that, because that was brought to our attention by Jim,
Yeah, and that should be lit.
right?
Yeah.
I'll take inventory of all the cemeteries. I know we have Mount Pleasant, we have the other section of Evergreen, and then,
When we open the Evergreen one, are we doing anything with the Island Pond one? That's before my time when this all started.
yeah, no, we're gonna leave it probably there, and we could have other things there, but the reason we're moving it from Island Pond is that most of our veterans who are older cannot navigate that hills, and we've had so many complaints from people who won't go because of that.
Well, I'm just wondering, do we need to keep that one too, or, I mean, there's nothing wrong with moving
Yeah,
them.
yeah, we'll have to,
Like moving them.
yeah, we'll have to think about that later, but
Yeah.
I think a lot of people buried their spouses around there because there was a Veterans Memorial,
So,
Yeah.
Right.
and we wouldn't want to,
well, I guess what I'm just getting at is if there was gonna be changes and the flag was gonna come down,
right,
then we wouldn't need the
Right.
lighting and
Yep.
et cetera, et cetera.
Good
true.
point.
Then the other thing, I spoke with Jim when we were over there, asked him to come up with a list of different equipment that might help maintain the cemeteries easier for him or something like that. I don't know if we need to follow up with him, see if he's,
Yeah, we're gonna try to get him to come to a meeting.
I'm not sure he understood when I
Yeah, I
first
think-
started talking to him about it, but.
I think he seemed blindsided by, you wanna buy me equipment?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
think,
something
I
new.
think he was processing it in his head and.
just
So I
trying
know
to
they
make
knew,
it so
I know
it's-
they need probes and stuff like that, which I can buy them. So when we go to mark out full body burial lots, we use probes to check where the existing vault is, and they wear out after time. And we've been doing so many burials lately.
You know, if I could just take a second, that discussion, or at that whole day, that whole morning at Evergreen with Jim, I mean, I thought that was very productive. And it just seemed that including him more in our
Yeah.
team.
Some of the maintenance
I
projects.
think- Yeah, I mean, he had some good ideas, he's got insights that,
Yeah.
Yep.
you know, because he looks at it differently.
Mhm.
You know? So, yeah, if we could get him to come here, I mean,
Not every month, but
Yeah.
periodically.
yeah, but just, you know, and updates and hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? You know, and he doesn't have to stay for the whole thing, you know?
Right.
And we
Okay.
can show them the list that we came up with of various projects, so you can keep that in a file that if they got an afternoon, they can go start on something.
Right. They have been in, with the new guy that's working with him now, Pete. They have done so much pruning and maintenance, in all the cemeteries, which is unbelievable. So even in Mount Pleasant, we had a funeral, last week, and, they were over there in the tree behind where the funeral was taken. They limbed the whole thing up, and they did all of the shrubs around there.
Why don't we get them both here, Jim and Pete? Let's
Okay.
have them here in November. If nothing else, to acknowledge their, the work that they've been doing,
Yeah.
stepping up their game,
Yeah.
because.
And there's only two of
We
them.
can't increase their pay,
Yeah.
but we can acknowledge that, hey,
Right.
we notice what you're doing,
Right.
and thanks for doing that.
Right.
And while we got you here,
Yeah.
pick their brain.
Yeah.
If you guys sat over here, what would you do?
Right. Well,
See
the other,
what you
Great
come
idea.
up with.
the other thing
And
is
give them a heads up on this, and we
Yeah.
can think about it.
so the other thing is it'll be great to get their input, because we're gonna be we have to have our public hearing soon. So we'll have to pick a date for everyone,
Rules and regulations.
for the rules and regulations. And, we'll get their input on, we can have them view the rules and regulations and see if there's anything in there that they feel that we've missed. So that would be good as well.
That'd be a good idea.
And speaking of that, you just, well, I can save that for later.
Okay.
New business, sorry.
Okay.
New business. Okay, update on the CPC articles. I know Robin's been working like crazy. And I've been back and forth to the office several times, so.
And I've been, Rob's been on the line 24/7. It's been
and we
crazy.
appreciate all the work you
Yeah.
put into this.
So I just put a new updated version of the community preservation articles that we had. So the historic one is completed, and we returned money to the CPC. Under the recreation article that we had, which is the flagpoles at Evergreen Cemetery, the electrical work has been completed. The flagpoles cannot go in until we have the hardscape done, so that is on hold currently until we get the hardscape installed.
But they gotta put the bases in first, all right?
Correct, yeah, as soon as they remark it out for them. On the East Harwich Union Cemetery, the vendor has gone in, which is, again, the same contractor, Village Green, and they have tagged all of the monuments that they're gonna be repairing and/or preserving. So they're underway. And then yesterday, I submitted both CPC articles. One was to erect veterans memorials for the Revolutionary War and Civil War soldiers. The names that are on the current list that we have, it's been, so many people have helped us with that. Lynn, you can say her last name.
How's that?
Thank you. How's that? And people over this Historical Society, Rob did a lot of work on it, and then I compiled them together. We're still waiting for some information. I reached out to the Veterans Agent in Boston on, not only on the Revolutionary War, but on the Civil War soldiers, probably more on the Civil War soldiers. They have listed 2 towns. So we were paying them, but sometimes they were listed on Eastham and Harwich. But we were paying them. Whose monument do they go on? Are they really Eastham residents, but we were just paying them, or how that works? So we're waiting to get confirmation from them, and I sent them a couple examples of the ones that were in debate, so that they, and the monument will not be erected until after, if it's approved at town meeting, and then we'll have to July. So we have a little bit of time to work on the list. I did talk to Dana DaCosta last night at the Board of Selectmen meeting. He has also worked on doing a war memorial before, so he is going to get a copy of the list and go through to cross-reference with names that he might have, that I didn't have, and then we'll try to vet those people one way or another.
This was Revolutionary War?
He did Civil War. He did Civil War, yeah. I don't know if he did the Revolutionary War. I know specifically he did the Civil War soldiers, so. But, so we're moving along with that project, it's very exciting, and I can't wait that, and Shawnee is elated that we're doing this
Yeah.
project in the town, and it's long overdue. I think other towns have recognized their war veterans in memorials, and for us not to have listed the names. I think some people will be quite pleased to know that their ancestors were Revolutionary War soldiers. I think the DAR and SAR will probably appreciate it too, because more people will be trying to join, because they didn't have any proof before, but we put all the documentation up. They'll just have to take that and put that on their application, which is in this packet, so hopefully a lot of people will,
And on the monuments, they're gonna be engraved right into the stone, or is it gonna be a plaque that's mounted to the big?
no, I want it engraved in the stone. If you do a bronze plaque, if you miss out our names, which they did in Eastham, they erected theirs, and then they found out that they had 3 more people. To add another plaque underneath it, it's just separate from the monument. So if you put all the names on the monument and you just engrave another name, I think it's less.
Yeah, and just from the work that we did, you and I did on the
Yeah.
Revolutionary War, I think there's a good possibility that we're gonna have a group of names that we're just not sure,
Right,
that we're gonna have to wait,
right,
so we can get the, let's say, 90% of the names there, and as long as we have space to go.
Yeah.
Because if you go through the Soldiers and Sailors book, there's names that pop up that for other references say, well, yeah, that was a Harwich person, but it's not, how do you prove it?
right. There's quite a few names that were listed in the documents that we got from the Payne papers. So the Payne papers listed all of the individual soldiers that left Harwich to go and serve, but all of those soldiers don't have home of residence. Harwich, they have no home of residence at all. So they were born here, they were served here under the Payne papers, and they died here and they're buried here. So they probably are 100% our soldiers, or 99, but we want to confirm that. So we're waiting for confirmation.
Another question that maybe the context could help with is, what if they were cross-referenced with the unit they served? Because in that Soldiers and Sailors book, they have a name, served with Captain Bang in the whatever regiment. But, so Captain Bang was Harwich, his regiment was Harwich, but where did they come from? And does that count?
Okay.
You know, I mean, is it possible to do that, or is that really pushing the limits?
I'm gonna talk to him. Hopefully he'll get back to me. I sent him a few examples. He's probably, I don't know if he gets these questions that often, so.
Well,
But I just want to be
There
sure.
are other Revolutionary War monuments in the country with names. I mean,
Right.
the town I grew up in had one. Sorry.
Need to pay electric bill.
Yeah, so, I mean, there must be a way, or do they, for a war that's so far in the past, is the envelope bigger?
Right,
And they say, close enough.
yeah,
You know, there's a reference here, yes, they may be listed in Harwich, and, oh, by the way, they really came from Wellfleet, and
Right.
didn't have a regiment.
I did
You
find,
put them on the list.
I did find one Revolutionary War soldier that said Harwich, but I believe, I'm 100% sure that it was a transcription error, because he was born in Hardwick, he's buried in Hardwick,
Yeah.
all of his census records are from Hardwick,
Yeah, see, that's one.
but
that you don't
he is, you know what I mean, and his name was so unusual that I was like, there's no way that this
know.
guy.
And we're not doing deserters.
So I listed all of the deserters, because I know a lot of people would have said they are not gonna be on the memorial. Let me just go to that page. So that's at the end of, page 13 of the Civil War, which should be at the beginning. So I started listing all of the deserters there, because some people will be, well, I know for a fact that my relative was in the Civil War, why isn't he not on the monument? And they're not on the monument because they deserted, so. I just wanted to keep them in there for just, they're only gonna be in here for this packet. They'll be removed, from our ongoing list as we move forward. So at the top I wrote deserters are not on the memorial, just so people know that they are not. And I removed them all from the Revolutionary War soldiers list. We only had a few that were deserters from the Revolutionary, more from the Civil War.
But, and then, like the discussion that you and I had yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still trying to be all-inclusive because there were people that were punished.
Yeah.
So
So,
basically, you know, suffered under the UCMJ or whatever it was called back then, you know, the Code of Military Justice.
yeah,
But they were reinstated, continued their service, and then were discharged
right.
at the end of the war.
Yeah, so on one of these that is listed, we have, and I still kept him in here because Jesse Caesar, he is in the Revolutionary War. He's listed as Edgartown, Harwich, and Barnstable. He lived in Harwich, so his census records always said Harwich. I'm sure he enlisted, a lot of them enlisted in Barnstable, because that was like a place where you enlisted. But they also list Edgartown for him. So that one I left in there for now, but he could be removed or might not be removed. He might be on ours. But he is the individual, one of the individuals. They were caught drinking on duty, and they received 100 lashes. So, but he then went back in and served again. He then got caught again drinking, and he got 50 lashes.
We already submitted this?
Yep. And then it had to be submitted yesterday.
Looking for Jesse.
No, well, I found Jesse, but I see there's Cahoons listed under a different volume.
So all the different volumes, this is what I broke it up by volume in case somebody had to go and look it up.
Well, I mean, so here's Nathaniel Cahoon twice after Thomas Koff.
It's because his name was listed incorrectly. Did I did I change the spelling?
So it's on the back side of the volume.
Yeah.
Cost dry.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, he might have been in there as a Cahoon.
he was, and I
Just fixed it.
and I fixed it. So there was a lot of the ones that had their, and so it was, if you go further down, I just didn't leave it in for this one, but,
Oh, that's right.
so if you see Reuben Cahoons, it's Cahoon,
Yeah.
and then I changed it to
Well, and
Cahoon.
this is not the list that's going on.
Correct.
This is just to show them the volume of names.
And where I got the information for, in case they wanted to search it themselves.
Right.
Just to verify the thing, I didn't make any of this stuff up, I just copied it.
Yeah, before the
Okay.
engraver gets to work, this is.
So yeah.
Scrutinized, right.
And if you look at air, which is at the beginning of that, which is, his name actually on his gravestone is Arey, Joshua.
Yeah,
So in here, it's listed him as Ary. He has census records that have both spellings. Some are just Ary, but I'm assuming that his family, and it's probably transcription errors as you get census, especially from back then. If their family put on his gravestone Arey, I'm sure that was his name.
That's like Aries Pond.
Yeah,
I mean, this is a classical,
yeah,
issue with Ancestry.com.
Right.
Is the 1950 census was, it's just the way the person recorded the name when he interviewed you. and,
right.
like, that's not right spelled. I mean, we have sent out for documents for my wife's Mayflower thing, and it's been transcribed in Boston incorrectly. And I had to send that off to the Mayflower and go, this is wrong, but here's the proof.
Yeah.
And they said, yeah, this happens all the time. Approved.
Yeah. So if you look on that first page too, you'll see all of the ones, Benjamin Bangs, Edward Bang. Those all were in Captain Benjamin Berry's and Zenas Winslow's regiments. So they're all Harwich residents. they all had a registration though. So they have a list of a registration of all the men they were gonna enlist. And then, but when they registered, they didn't put the home Harwich for some reason. Didn't make it in there, it has no home. And then it said, at the very end of it, it says, this is the company made up from the Harwich militia. So, it doesn't list a hometown at the beginning, but it does say the Harwich militia. So, I'm assuming those guys, those are one of the ones, because it says, it marched on an alarm at Bedford and in Falmouth. And that's all it says. So those ones are kind of short ones. But you can read through it, and if you find anything else, I'm sure I have a few more typos in there, but it was pretty bad. This is a very clean version of what it was originally.
Oh, yeah, it was 500 and some odd names. to
Yeah, yeah.
start. And the Sons of the Revolution organization, I tried searching there yesterday for Cindy's line, but
Yeah.
there's no database that is
There's
accessible.
really not a database that I know of. I have a phone call into them anyways, because I want them to go over my list to see if there's other people that they have listed, and they have,
There's a Massachusetts contact for them too, because I
Yeah.
wrote him yesterday. so
okay,
Haven't heard from him.
all right. But there's a whole bunch of people from the Cape Cod that might know all the Cape Cod names anyways. So I'd like to get them, because they could verify for us the Eastham Harwich ones.
Yeah.
If they're already registered from Eastham, then that eliminates them completely, because they're on their memorial, so. We'll just go back and forth and vet this a couple more ways, just to make sure our list is correct, before we,
So timeline, what would be your best estimate for the Revolution and Civil War Memorial
July.
next July?
Yeah. So it'll go to town meeting in May. If it's approved, then we get the money in July. By July, we should have a final list of the names, so that way the bid is correct.
So the work on these lists needs to stay
High priority,
high priority,
yeah,
in weekly pursuit.
right. And what I'm doing is vetting where, there's 500 names between the two lists, over 500. I have been slowly vetting and putting into the document where they're buried. So I'm writing Old Brewster Cemetery. There's a lot of them in the Old Brewster Cemetery, a lot. Then if they're in Harwich Center, I put Harwich Center, Island Pond, Evergreen, like I'm putting all, so I'm gonna do it with both lists. It's actually more verification for me, that I know where they are, when you're trying to vet which town they're really from, so. We'll continue that list, and hopefully, maybe I can get some volunteers to help me out with that.
Well, and some of them are gonna be far away.
Yeah, some of them are, some of them are in Michigan, found a guy in
Yeah.
Illinois.
Yeah, my wife's relative, Samuel Harding, he was from Falmouth, born in Chatham, served in Falmouth, but then was involved in a regiment in Pennsylvania, and then stayed there.
Yeah.
So, this is, yeah, hats off to you trying to figure this all out.
I like it, so for me, it's not a big deal. Let's see, let me put this back in order now.
We appreciate all the work you've done on that.
Yes.
It's quite an undertaking. Under any other old business, when do we need to have a public hearing on the rules and regulations?
We just need to have it, I think it's 30 days before the town meeting, but I'd like to have it by the end of this year. I'd like to get it done and over with. So I can look, if you guys could give me some dates when you're away, so that I don't even look for those weeks, and then that way, because I know, Cindy, you go away, you're gonna go up to see your grandkids. You're probably gonna go see your grandkids, right?
Yeah, we're gone this weekend.
Yeah.
The birthday
So if
parties.
you know what, if you guys could both send me, and if Rob, you're going on any vacations, send me all the times you know for a fact you're gonna be away, then I'll cross-reference it with what's available at the guess it's a scheduling calendar in the selectman's office, and then I can put in a date, because then we have to put it in the paper and have to have it public, and then we have,
If we jump on this now, we could get it scheduled November before its Thanksgiving timeframe, or immediately after Thanksgiving,
yeah.
because now then you got Christmas stuff going on.
Right.
Evening or afternoon?
I don't think it matters when we do it. I would I would prefer it during work hours, but I don't know if that's okay for you guys. Most of the people that are gonna probably be coming are retired people anyways.
Well, we're all retired, so.
Well, I mean, this is so important. I mean, we could make it user-friendly.
Right. I mean, people can log in if we do.
6 o'clock at night is not user-friendly to me.
Yeah. The other thing is if we do it around lunchtime, if somebody did have an issue, they could log in and they could participate via the internet, which is kind of nice. We have these go-to-meetings. So if there was somebody who couldn't make it in person because they were working, they could log in from their home or their office or whatever, and they'd still be able to participate.
Or, yeah, so book it for a morning or early afternoon or something. And if we do it soon enough, if there were complaints that, well, I wanted to participate but I couldn't, then maybe we have an evening one,
Right,
Okay.
in January, or
yeah.
then we deal with snow.
See if you can check the schedule if you would. I think maybe between the 1st of November and the 15th or so,
I don't know how long it has to be in the paper first, but I'll check.
The only thing basically you're going on is my son's family, we get their kid's birthday party this weekend, and my daughter's is on November 5th. Other than that, I don't think there's much happening in the month of November.
Okay, all right. All right,
for Thanksgiving.
The old business thing that I
okay.
the solar lights that people have at their grave sites,
Yeah, that's gonna be on the rules and regulations.
well, wouldn't that fit underneath the metal objects that we discussed? I mean, I don't have my copy here, but
Yeah.
would it be blanket enough, or do we need to insert? Is that a hazard for Jim and the guys? I mean, are they?
So it's just so much stuff now, and I'm sure if we had Jim in at the meeting, that's the other thing, do we wanna have Jim in one more meeting to make sure we don't have to change any more of the rules before we have this meeting? Because,
Can we get a final printout of the last version of this, so it's all together?
Okay.
Not different colors.
And actually, we only need the part that's gonna affect the guys.
and I could send it to Jim and Pete, and maybe they can read it over and see if there's anything that they think should be added.
Basic stuff is the basic stuff, but
Right.
it's that, the grave site specific that,
Well, they're out there every day, they know what they found and
Yeah.
how hard it is to maintain it, so I think it's important that we at least ask for some of their input on that, so. I will send them our last version, ask them to look it over.
and maybe highlight, especially if you guys, I mean, it's pretty big, and they may.
Yeah.
not-
I could just, they don't have to read all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they could focus on page, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, paragraphs, such and such.
Okay. All right, perfect.
And then we probably should go out and flag Deluce's gravesite, because I think they're taking up more real estate than what they bought.
Correct. Yes. Okay, so, are we all done with old business?
Any more old business?
No, sir.
So Cindy, I didn't have time to, get all of the bills written down on the sheet of paper, which is in here, so at some point this week, I mean, we don't process bills till Fridays, you guys will have to swing by, but the 3 bills that we'll have are for Eversource, WB Mason, which was $223, I believe, and then Seaside Arborist came in and removed the trees. They did some in Mount Pleasant, I don't know if you guys, they did some more behind where Tip O'Neill's lot is, and they had a whole bunch of diseased trees in there. It's one good thing about Pete, that's what he used to do, he was a tree climber, and he knows a lot about diseased trees. There are quite a few, he was in Evergreen, they removed a whole bunch of trees. They actually removed the tree where we're gonna be putting the gazebo. And then they limbed up a whole bunch of trees that had dead branches at the top, widowmakers, whatever. and they also were in Island Pond, so we'll have a bill for that. And then the only other thing is the deeds. I sold a lot of deeds this month. So,
We gotta jump
need
start
to-
on this.
Cindy,
Use your blue pen though.
yeah.
Yeah, mine's blank. Thank you.
And then the next meeting, because November 8th is voting day. Election.
Oh, yeah. So, let me, do you have a calendar up?
Yeah, on the phone. I mean, November 1st is the first Tuesday of the month.
You want to do the first Tuesday? That's fine.
We're doing the first.
Fine with me.
You're gonna be out late trick or treating?
Pagan holiday.
There you go.
No, I just eat the Mounds bars. It's my excuse for the year.
Yeah, well,
So I will check. Caleb, do you know if your room over at the community center is available on November 1st?
November 1st?
At 9?
I can talk to Jamie about it. Right now, I don't think we have anything scheduled.
Okay. Just because we want to move over to, for that, because we can't do election day meeting on the 8th.
Alrighty.
Okay? I don't even have to go downstairs and,
Yeah, we won't be in the way over there with them getting, no, there won't be any preps. That's a week early.
Yeah. yep.
yeah, that'd be good. I was gonna write it down, but I gave my pen away. And then for the public meeting,
Yeah.
maybe anytime the week of the 14th?
So I want to get, so if we're going to have any changes from Jim, we're going to have to vote on it and then do the packet. And then we have to give so many days to have it, the public meeting announced. So I don't know how long that's.
If you give it to Jim, and he has any things, then maybe we can have a quick meeting towards the end of this month,
Okay,
like the 18th or something like that.
all right. I will check with the requirements of how long it has to be published before.
Because that meeting could just be a short, quick meeting, so.
Yeah.
First meeting's gonna be where?
At my office, over at the community center.
Community center, okay.
First. Do I hear a motion to close the meeting?
So moved.
At 10 o'clock, right on the button. Does anyone want to second that?
Yep, seconded.
All in
Okay,
favor?
unanimous.